You keep talking about an issue of fairness. You talk about men and women being fundamentally different. So let me give you a couple of examples. You've used swimming. Michael Phelps. He's been held up as having anatomically very different features, but he's not penalized for those differences. Right. It would be like me saying, I deserve to be in the NBA, or people above 6 feet shouldn't be in the NBA, so I have a better chance to play in the NBA. I would love those salaries, but I'm not going to get those, right?
Right.
So, another example in terms of, you brought up testosterone at the genetic level. My discipline has studied and examined all levels of what it means to be human, socially and biologically. That's what we do. How can you account for 12-year-old girls beating 30-year-old men in 10K races, menopausal women beating 18-year-old men or boys in 10K races, 14-year-old boys beating 35-year-old men in those cases where there's a large range and variety of testosterone. And there's lots of scientific evidence that demonstrates that testosterone has no direct correlation to athletic achievement.
In regards to Michael Phelps, obviously he is a phenom. We know that. But the performance gap between men and women, let's take Missy Franklin, who is she was the 200 backstroke world record holder for women, and let's take Ryan Lochte, who was also the 200 backstroke world record holder for men. There is a 10 to 12% performance gap between the most elite male and the most elite female. They both obviously have competed at the highest level. They have the same amount of training. They put for lack of better words, they put in the same amount of work to compete at the level at which they are. The advantages that Michael Phelps has, I believe he has Marfan syndrome, which makes he's more elastic in his joints. He has typically longer limbs. His fingers are longer. His feet are bigger. All of those things, that would create nowhere near a 10 to 12% performance gap between him and his competitors. Nowhere near that same percentage. And so that's kind of to answer that question. To compare man and woman to Michael Phelps to the next best competitor is not equivalent by any means. Your next question, I kind of forget, but I actually have a question for you. You being an anthropologist, which anthropology is the study of human civilization,
Human, biological and social.
So if you were to dig up two humans, in 100 years from now, both man and woman, could you tell the difference? Strictly off of bones.
No, because there's a wide range of... I'm sorry.
Women have...
I'm not sure why I'm being laughed at if I'm the expert in the room. Have any of you been to archaeological sites? Have any of you studied biological anthropology? I'm just saying. I've got over 150 years of data. I'm just curious as to why I'm being laughed at when
I believe it or not, I have put a lot of research into this because I'm not.